Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Alpha Art Gallery's Meet the Artist series. My name is Gabrielle Henderson, and I am very excited to welcome back Arik Gorban, an exhibiting artist in our upcoming New Brunswick Art Salon, Reflections of the Living World exhibition. Arik, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to exhibit in the gallery again.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate
Okay. I know you touch on many different aspects of your photo medium, such as fine art photography, services, and workshops. How do you feel that being both a photographer and an instructor impacts your practice and understanding of being an artist?
You know, art is about communications. It's about exposing part of you to others. Creating images and storing them in folders is not what I'm after. It's sharing my work. So my photography really, I do something about photography every day. It could be taking pictures. It could be processing. I spend a lot of hours processing. It could be learning from watching videos about technology, about the tools, or just for inspiration by photographers and sometimes by artists, non-photographers. I like their work. I want to understand their vision, their way of working. So now, when you teach, you interact with people, and I really enjoy doing that. I do workshops. I do a lot of judging of competitions all over the country, of course, on Zoom. I do presentations, and the more you interact with people, you see how they see things. Even when you mentor somebody, you may have some ideas about composition, about technical aspects. At the end of the day, they bring their vision. You learn from it. So it all comes together. I do something about photography pretty much every day.
Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. And also, I feel like photography especially establishes like a strong community as well, especially through like you doing these workshops and then also learning through others. Like I know just for me, also do art, I'm constantly learning from my peers and the people around me. And it's just a
Yeah.
great community. What makes you feel most connected to your medium, and why have you continuously chosen to pursue it and advance in photography rather than different mediums of art?
Okay, so one honest answer is that I'm not so good with anything else. I can't sing, I can't dance, so photography. But it started, I was exposed to art from a young age. My mother did a lot of painting. It was not her day job, but she did a lot of that. And we would go to museums and galleries on a regular basis. So I was exposed to art from a young age. Photography was an easy way. It was a little technical easy for me. And it was pretty quick. You can do it anywhere. If you're a painter, you can just see something, stop the car, and take a couple of minutes and do something, right? Now, today, many artists actually they'll take reference shots and then go back home or to the studio and paint. But for me, photography was a good merge of something artistic, something technical. I'm pretty good with the technology. I've been using Photoshop since 1995, so many years. I have digital cameras. So it's just something that I got into, and hopefully I'm getting better over
Yeah.
time.
No, I mean, I'm sure with all your years of experience, you definitely have gotten better. Did you ever like paint with your mom at all? Or I was just a little bit curious about that.
A little bit, and she always claimed that I'm good with that, but I didn't get into it. In fact, more recently, Photoshop has painting tools. It has mixer brushes that really behave like natural brushes. And I would paint some of my photographs, and I would spend 3, 4 hours on each one. So it's something that I enjoy, but it's not something I'll just go with a blank canvas to the field and start painting or even still life.
Yeah.
I spend
Yeah.
so much time with the photography, it's good enough.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. From seeing your portfolio, it's very clear that you, like you said, photograph many different subjects and landscapes. What works of yours do you feel best encapsulate you as an artist at this current time period?
Okay, so, I keep changing my subjects. I love street photography. I ran some street photography workshops. It's something I enjoyed. With COVID, I shifted a little bit away from that just because I couldn't go to the streets. Well, local streets, yes, and I did some. Actually, I would come to New Brunswick, walk around, and take pictures. But what I really focus on is really doing less what's called representational photography. where you see something, you like it, you take a picture, you pretty much you're a Xerox machine. You make copies of reality. To what I consider more creative photography, where I have a picture in my mind's eye and I go, I take the pictures. So I like to work in projects. When I go out, I have something in mind, I take the pictures, I come home and I process them and I get what I had in my mind's eye. It doesn't mean that everything requires extensive post-processing. So I'm not saying I go, I take a picture and I come home and manipulate it. You can do it in camera. You use the visual tools that you have in the field, depth of field, what's in focus, what's not in focus, composition, your vantage point, your exposure. You can do high key images that are bright and airy and happy, and you can do low key where you are capturing very dark images, maybe a little bit area that is properly exposed or bright, but everything else is dark. It creates mood, it creates drama. So these are the tools that I like to use to really express something rather than record what everybody sees.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, especially with like Photoshop too. You can like alter and really emphasize like what you're looking for, which I also really appreciate in today's technology. And also something you can't really get in other mediums as well. Like it's kind of only photography specific.
Well, so let me give you an example. I've done workshops in Longwood Gardens, flower photography. And I tell attendees, hundreds of people will be here today capturing beautiful pictures of beautiful flowers. What are you going to do that is different? How are you going to express something that is more personal? I says, don't look at the flowers. Everybody knows how a tulip looks like, how a rose looks like. Don't just record it. Start looking at lines, at curves, at textures, at intersecting lines, at colors. Think about the flower not as a flower, but as something that has some character, it has some features, and focus on the features rather than here is an accurate picture of a flower.
Yeah, no, I really like that idea. I really
Mm.
appreciate that. I also want to focus talking a little bit more about techniques that you've brought attention to. Tell me how you've implemented some of your drone photography into your current works. Do you feel that this technological advancement in photography has altered the means of the practice, and if so, how?
So what it did, it gives you I've been doing drone photography for about a year and a half, a little more than that. And what it really gives me is two things. One is a vantage point. The vantage point is one of the main tools in photography. They always said, don't just stand and capture everything from eye level because that's what everybody else sees. There's no element of surprise, nothing unique about it. So the drone allows me, in the past, I would lie on the sidewalk. I would climb on things to get a higher vantage point and get something in a different way. With the drone, it's easy. I just raise it. The picture behind me right now, I took this morning from my driveway. I saw through the kitchen window, I saw the nice clouds, ran out with the drone, raised it to about 50 yards and took some pictures. So I can do things that I couldn't do before. If I wanted to get the sky before, I had to drive to some higher spot where I don't get the trees and the houses and all that. Now I can do it from my driveway. But also, I like to do a lot of abstracts in the field, just going high, pointing the camera straight down and getting those patterns in the fields. I do a lot in the Amish country. I just went to the Amish country in Ohio because it's more hilly, so the landscape is a little different. So the drone gives you that perspective. The second advantage of the drone is some things that are even you want to shoot from about eye level, but you can't get to them. They're behind a fence, they are from the other side of the river or something like that. I couldn't do it before. Now I can fly the drone and do it.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask if your background was a photo that you took because it's absolutely amazing. I love that photo.
Yeah, it was just this morning, sunrise this morning.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And about 10 minutes later, it got cloudy and it was all gone.
Yeah, that's
And
usually how
later
it
it
goes.
cleared up.
I also saw, I remember I was looking at your portfolio and I saw this one photo, and I'm gonna assume it was from the Amish country from what you described, but it was definitely a drone photo, but it was like just a grassy field and there was just a tree in the middle. The symmetry
Yeah,
was so beautiful. I really like that photo.
this I know exactly which one you're talking about. And I have all. I have a project, lone trees in the field, and I do it maybe 80% with the drone and 20% with the camera. And it's just the way, especially trees that have some character, they're bent, they have some curves. So I have many lone trees in fields. But this one, I actually did with a drone, and it was pretty far from me. I saw it, it was on top of the hill, so I saw it from the road, the main road. So I went to some parking lot and flew the drone to capture that.
Yeah, I really like
And
that
I
concept.
and I flew the drone around and I took from different angles, but I really like the way it splits the field into two colors.
Something about, especially in a lot of arts, like when you implement symmetry, but like you have that aspect of like something natural like the tree, it creates like such this like dichotomy and like beauty within it.
Mhm.
Beautiful work. I also know that you've interviewed with us before. Has there been any significant changes in your practice since the last time the gallery has been in contact with you?
Yes, of course. If somebody says no, then it's a shame. Then it means you didn't evolve, you're staying in the same spot. Of course, the drone photography, which I put a lot of time, I have two drones now. So this is one, I don't need to talk more about that. But there are some, even post-processing technologies improve. The cameras improve, yeah, now you have the mirrorless and some, I can't say that it changed my photography. Yes, now it focuses on the eye. So when I do portraits, I do family shots, it goes straight to the eye. It doesn't change what you see. It makes it a little faster for me as a photographer. But some of the tools, the post-processing tools in Photoshop, some of the AI stuff. Now, I don't normally use AI or prompt-based AI, where you just type text and it brings from the cloud, it brings some images. I don't do that. Sometimes I'll do, and I'll be very clear if I post it on Facebook and stuff, I'll say, but it's rare. But what I do with it, sky selections. I have close to 1,600 pictures of skies. I re and I use my skies that I replace in pictures that the skies are not interesting. I do, but then there's some, they call them masking tools. They're in Lightroom and in Camera Raw that you can really take a flat picture, a picture that I took. I got to, let's say, Badlands National Park. I got there in around 10 o'clock. It was cloudy, very boring, flat landscape. But I was there. That's the time I was driving from New Jersey to Washington. So it was on the way. And when I shot slides, I would take a few pictures just as record shots that have been there. Now I can make these pictures look like they're interesting lighting effects, create light, create shadows, create different tones, like make it look more like warm early morning light. So I can really do a lot of things, and I spend a lot of time doing and also teaching in my presentations how to take a picture that is flat, is boring, and today with the tools, it's easy enough to make it really pop, really be interesting. I've done it before, so you could have done it before the new tools, but it took more time. Let's say I avoided it, not doing it as frequently as I would do it now. Now almost every picture gets through some processing like that.
Yeah.
So we have tools, and as the tools, people say I want it to be my mind, not tools, not technology. But when the technology allows you to do new things, then your mind starts seeing things that you didn't see before and create new things. So actually, I spend more time on each picture now than I've done in the past because I know I can and I know what to do with it. So part of progress.
Yeah. In your workshops, do you teach a lot of Photoshop or like I guess just like how do you usually frame your workshops or is it kind of dependent on like who you're teaching?
Yeah, so I have the workshops that I do for camera clubs, just a group of people. We go to New York, we go to Philadelphia, we go to the Delaware Water Gap or whatever, to the grounds for sculpture. These are my favorite spots. Those, it's more about the art of seeing, and I help people if they, as they need, help them with technical stuff or ideas about compositions. I try when I do workshops to open your eyes rather than tell you how to do it because I don't want you to take my pictures. I want you to grow as your own artist, to do it with your own vision. So I don't want to say, this is how you photograph a tulip. You should photograph it this way. No, I want you to give you the ideas about curves and colors and textures and all. So that's the part that has nothing to do with processing. When I talk about processing, it's more to show how you turn these tools into creating something. I don't really teach the technical stuff usually because when you have a crowd, you'll have about three, four people who really know Photoshop or Lightroom or Camera Raw, whatever the tool is. They really know it and they can follow you in details. Then you have people who are going to lose you. So, because you don't have people at the same level with post-processing.
Yeah.
So I try to just demonstrate capabilities. If you want to know how to do it, just about anything you can find on YouTube these days.
Yeah, for sure. Within the work that you're showing us and the exhibition, what do you hope the audience pulls from, just pulls from the work? And additionally, what topics does your work speak to if they speak to any?
Yeah. So the main thing for me, and this is something that I've been doing for a long time, especially camera club people, we like to go to exotic places. We like to shoot exotic things, beautiful things. So either beautiful architecture or some exotic landscape. We go to national parks where people travel. When it got boring to just do Paris and, Africa, people started going to, Iceland and Antarctica and places like that because you want beautiful things to be there. Art is about taking the mundane, taking the everyday things and making personally expressive images out of them, right? Showing you the beauty or the sadness and or the problems in local things. So all the pictures that you see, one of them is actually from Massachusetts, but again, it was just a lake by a house that we stayed in this summer. So it's not anything exotic. It's in Lenox, Massachusetts. But the pictures are simple. The pictures are local. It's what you create. And I think this is an important message that you don't need to go to exotic places to be a photographer. During COVID, a lot of people said, there's nothing to shoot. I can't go anywhere. I said, what do you mean? Get in the car, drive to the county park, drive to the fields in the Amish country, or it doesn't have to be the Amish country. There is so much within for day trips that you don't need to stay in hotels, you don't need to interact with other people. You can do a lot. I go with my dog to Ducalan Park almost every day. I always have a camera with me. It could be just the phone. And I take pictures. I put into a book, Ducalan Park, around the year. I have summer, winter, spring, fall. I have pictures, half of them with my phone, some of them with the regular camera, some of them with the point and shoot camera. No drones allowed.
Do you ever use your dog as the subject of your photos?
Oh, yeah. Every book that I create has some pictures. Actually, she and I went on a few very long road trips. She was already in 27 states. We went to South Carolina a couple of times, big loops, to Arkansas, big loop, the Dakotas, a little bit into Wyoming, a big loop, then all the way across the country to Washington, Olympic Peninsula, went south, then all the way up, 6 weeks, almost 11,000 miles. We go to Massachusetts frequently. So we went to Ohio to the Amish country.
Mhm.
So she's a little over 12, so it's getting more difficult now. But
She's done a lot of, like, probably a lot more traveling than a lot of people who live in the US
oh
have
yeah,
done.
oh yeah,
Oh, that's great.
and she doesn't complain.
Do you ever find yourself wanting to return to a past media that you once thoroughly explored? For example, I know that you have a lot of past experiences in film development, and would you ever want to incorporate these processes in your current practice?
I don't think so. I kept my film cameras. I didn't sell them, but yeah, I got into digital photography in 2001 with a point and shoot, but got my first SLR serious camera in 2002. And I shot in parallel. I took on trips, I took both cameras, the slides, and because I didn't trust digital and I didn't trust my skills. So I took the two cameras. After a year and a half or so, I took a bunch of rolls, a slide film, gave them to my friend, and I say, I'm not doing it again. And I really don't see a reason. I don't like the smell. I don't like the chemicals. I don't like the cost. With digital, I can shoot whatever I want. And if I don't like it, I delete the files. My wife would go crazy. I would come and I'll take trays full of slides and dump into the garbage if I didn't like it. You
Yeah,
still pay for it.
that's crazy. Yeah, film is very, very expensive. Sometimes
But
like,
from a technology point of view, or even from a creative point of view, when I shot film, it was, I would say, 40% creativity and 60% all the technical stuff, the mechanics, the chemicals. When I shoot digital, I'm very good with the technical stuff. That doesn't take much thinking. I can focus on the creative stuff. And if I'm not sure, I'll take multiple shots. That much easier than, can you imagine putting a roll of film and just trying about 20 pictures and
mhm.
you can't see the results?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It definitely has a different intention behind it when shooting film in comparison to digital. But yeah,
And
I
I can make look like film. I can make pictures look at the grain and the vignette and all those effects or looks of film. I can get pretty close to it.
yeah.
I don't want to say I can get 100% because somebody will scream, no, you can't. So let's say I can get
Yeah,
close.
yeah, of course. Do you ever now like change some of your photos to kind of make it look more like film, or do you kind of just stick
Yeah, I do.
to digital?
I
Okay.
do a lot of black and white, and I may add the grain to it, and I may burn the edges. And yes, I do.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Not so much with color. I have all these plugins that can make it look like old color photos and all that. I rarely use it. I don't think it's my creative approach. I think I like to do things myself. And
Yeah, I don't blame you. Lastly, I want to ask what's upcoming for you. Do you have any current or future projects that you can share with us?
yeah, I always have projects in mind. For me, which probably not true with most people, I like winter. I can always put another layer. I can put batteries in my pockets to keep them warm. I like winter. I like snow. I like ice. I don't like the wind, but last year we didn't have many cold days, which was a problem for me. I started a project with ice on little rocks, in very shallow rivers or creeks. And as the water flows, it starts freezing and you have still water running and ice and icicles and all that. So last year I had only 2 days that I was able to do that. I want to hopefully we'll get some cold days this winter. I do it in Ken Lockwood Gorge. I do it in Hucklebarney State Park. So don't have to go far from here, central New Jersey. So this is one thing. The other thing that I didn't do last year. I did a little, but not as much as I wanted. As I said, I like abstracts where the drone is in the air looking straight down, and I want to do it with snow. Fields covered with snow, suddenly you have all different patterns. I've done some last year, and I really want to do more. What I didn't do, I did locally, but I didn't drive much in snow. I can't fly while the snow is coming down, but I like to take pictures right after that.
Hmm.
So hopefully I'll do more this year. But I always have some projects in mind.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine that.
also as I create new programs for camera clubs, I always come up with new projects to facilitate that.
Yeah, of course. I can imagine that the like eagles like bird's eye view of the snow, that's gonna look so cool, especially if like
Yeah,
you get like a natural aspect of like maybe there's like footprints in it or something like that. Or
I
like
have
maybe the
exactly
snow's
that.
thinner and you can kind of see some grass poking through. Like there's so much that you can do, especially in nature.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, all that sounds amazing. And Eric, thank you so much for joining me today and telling me a little bit about your practice. And I know that we're all very excited to feature your work here at Alpha Art Gallery in our upcoming exhibition, Reflections of the Living World. And again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
you too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.